Okay, example 4 starts getting into these fractions and ratios and percentages. So I wanted to run through some of that with you as well. Let's say we have an order for Ensure food supplement. That's that little milkshake, thick milkshake substance that they give the nursing home patients. So we need to give 200 milliliters, but only at 25% strength every 8 hours for 3 days. Okay. So this first question wants to know how would the 25% concentration be expressed as a fraction? Now, some of you might be familiar enough with that 25% changing it to a fraction that you automatically know what the fraction should be. Okay, but let's walk through it as if we didn't know, if we're not familiar with 25%. So anytime you're changing a percent to a fraction, take the 25, just knock off the percent, and divide it by 100. Okay, anytime you're doing a percentage to a fraction, always divide by 100. And now you need to reduce that fraction. Okay, to reduce a fraction, you need to divide top and bottom by the same number. Okay, so we could sit here and say, well, 25 and 100 are both divisible by 5. All right, and that would, if we divide the 25 by 5, that's going to give us a 5. If we divide 100 by 5, that's going to give us a 20. Now, 5 over 20 is still needing to be reduced. Okay, we could divide them by 5 again. All right. So if you could pick your divisor, your greatest common divisor, to be as big as possible, you could keep from having to divide. Turns out that 25 is the greatest common divisor here. We can divide the top by 25 and we'll get a 1. We can divide the bottom by 25 and we'll get 4. Okay. Now, if you don't see 25 as something that goes into both of those, that's fine. Divide it by 5, divide it by 5, and then keep going. Okay. So 25% concentration is written as a fraction of 1/4. What will the ratio of Ensure be to the water diluents? Okay. So they're saying that Ensure is going to be our active ingredient, okay, the drug, if you will, and water is going to be our inactive. So we need to figure this out as a ratio. Now, the trick to the ratio is that you need it in fraction format first, okay? Once you've got it in fraction format, whatever the top part of your fraction is, that's the first number in your ratio, always. Okay, top of the fraction is first number in your ratio. Now, to get the second number in your ratio, you need to think about 4. The bottom of your fraction minus the top of your fraction should give you that second number in your ratio. Okay, so it should be that you add these numbers together and you get the bottom of the fraction. Okay, so our 1/4 concentration as a fraction is actually a ratio of 1 to 3. So that means however many 1 parts of the drug that you put in, you're going to put 3 parts of that as the inactive part, the diluent. Okay, so 1 part Ensure, 3 parts water is what that's saying. Now we have to figure out the dose here. How many milliliters of Ensure will be used for the dose? Okay, so overall we need to give 200 milliliters, but only 25% of that 200 is going to be Ensure. The other 75% is going to be water. Okay, so this question wants to know how many milliliters will be Ensure. I tend to go back to a fraction to do this math. You could do it, with a percentage as well if your brain is more inclined to do percentages. But I just do 1/4 times the 200, and that's going to give me 50 milliliters. But like I said, if you like the percentages, you can take 25% of 200, okay, or change that into a decimal and do it as a 0.25 times 200. Either way, you're going to get the 50 milliliters. Okay. Last question wants to know how many milliliters of water should be added. Okay, so we're saying that we're going to add 50 milliliters of Ensure to their glass, and then we also need to add in the water, right, to dilute it down. So how many milliliters of water? Well, remember there was 200 total, right? That was our order, was to give 200 milliliters total. And we've already used 50 milliliters up with the Ensure drink, so that's only going to leave me with 150 milliliters of water.